Hellcat Metal Supermarkets, and huge shout out to them because I walked in there with my motor templates and the templates that will sit on the actual mount. I was in and out of there in like 10 minutes, pre-cut to size. All I got to do is drill holes now. And I also got a sheet, this way I can make other pieces that I need and make this cross member and stuff like that. But I'm about to go home, drill these things out, and start making this motor mount. Alright guys, so I made it home in one piece, and I got my pre-cut metal, and these are going to be the starting points for making this thing out of like real material. So I'm going to get these plates mounted to the block, and I'm going to get these plates mounted to the motor mount, and then we're going to make all those pieces again to reconnect, trace them over on some metal. I got a sheet of metal too, and cut those pieces out. And I mean, I don't have a welder here, so I probably plan on buying like a Harbor Freight like shitty welder, get all this tacked up in the driveway, and I'm sure I could find somebody or a shop to officially burn these mounts together. So I'm already starting to drill out the pilot holes for the driver's side mount, and this was like a template that I traced off of a factory motor mount bracket. So this is what we're going off of. So I'm hoping that these holes line up pretty good, but you see I already got these two on this side drilled out, pretty small. I'm going to do these two next. I'm going to go a little bit bigger of a drill bit size till a bolt like this fits through. I mean, mind you, this is a torque converter bolt, but it's the same thread pitch, and I'm going to need like a shorter bolt like this. So as long as this hole fits this bolt through it, we'll be good to go. We're going to go match it up to the car, make sure it all lines up, and I'll probably end up getting like real hardware for it when the time comes. But I mean, this is what we're doing for right now. So I'm going to get all these holes and shit drilled out and mocked up in the car and go from there. Alright, so quick tip. I mean, I got these holes, these pilot holes drilled out, and I'm trying to like figure out, you know, which size drill bit that I should use for this thing to bolt through. I don't want to go too big, too small, and have to redo it. So I found one that I thought worked. I drilled a hole in the wood here, and that seems to be like the right size. So this is what we're going to use. Alright, so pretty much got the driver's side plate to the motor on there. Of course, it's starting to rain out, but I mean, that's pretty much what we got, and this is going to be the starting point. I'm going to put this motor mount back in there and drill that piece out. Once I have these two bolted in there, I can make those connecting pieces perfect to like where this thing is actually going to be, and then it's just a matter of burning it all together. Alright, so the last thing that I want to go over real quick, I ended up hot gluing this plumb bob on because tape got wet, didn't hold up. But so this measurement between here and this lower frame rail piece, which is like identical on this side, right now I got this motor sitting perfectly even. And as far as like measurements go for driveline angle and the angle that this thing's sitting side to side, like I said, this car sits a degree to the left, and if I were to put this thing on this frame rail, it's also sitting a degree back. So all these measurements and stuff that I'm doing is going to have to account for those 1 degree that's off. But again, accounting for that, I got this motor sitting a degree left, so to me that's even. And if I were to put this on here, I got this thing sitting 4 degrees back, so technically 3 degrees back. So this motor is officially where it's going to be home. Somebody did comment in the comments which one is one of my bigger worries. Is the sway bar going to clear once the suspension is compressed? I mean, I would like to try to get this motor to sit like a hair back. If I do that though, I won't be able to get the drain plug out, so I think where it is where it's going to stay. And I mean, we'll find out once I get weight on this thing. But I mean, realistically, I was thinking to maybe offset where this sway bar sits, either get I mean, I would think I would need shorter sway bar lengths so it doesn't compress up as much, but we don't know. That is one of my bigger worries right now. Time will tell. And again, the header clearance somebody was talking about, and I mean, at this point, I'm going to show you guys real quick. I mean, I would like to use like an actual header setup, something that like came, oh shit, something that like came with the car already that has like 4 individual exhaust exits. But I don't know if I can get it down in one piece. This is actually off a Ram 1500 Hemi, so I might more than likely end up using a small style. I don't know if you call this like a collector or what, but pretty much where all these exhaust ports merge into one and then come out. I mean, that's not ideal. I don't know if that'll work, but again, for this application we're going to be doing what we have to do. So probably end up using like a style something like this. So I grabbed this off like a, this thing's cracked somewhere, but this was off like one of the jobs that I did a while ago, and probably end up using something like this because there's no way a big ass thing's gonna fit in there. I mean, when the time comes, I am gonna be taking this thing to an exhaust place and telling them, look, I need headers on this car, call me when it's done, and pretty much going from there. So, but if we end up with something like this, so be it. And if whoever the exhaust place that I goes to can come up with something, oh, I swear one of these days something's gonna fall on my head. But if an exhaust place can come up with something that's similar to this, where it's actually got 4 and then like a big ass collector into one, that'd be nice. But obviously this is not going to work, so I don't know. For right now I don't even care about that. Just getting this motor in this car is all I'm worried about. I mean, if I have to run this shit with no headers or exhaust on it, so be it. Alright guys, so since it doesn't want to stop raining, we're probably going to call it quits here. I got this side motor mount plate and the plate that sits on the actual motor mount finished up, and I just finished up the passenger side. This is the passenger side, so the plate that goes on the block and the plate that sits on the motor are now in there. Hopefully when it stops raining, either today, tomorrow, next day, whatever, get this motor and trans perfectly lined up where it needs to be, so I can make all those little pieces that connect to that. And like I said, I plan on tacking this thing with like a shitty Harbor Freight welder and taking it out and then having it welded somewhere professionally, and then this motor will finally be in this car. So from now on I'm just gonna do the rain dance and hope the rain stops and get back out here messing with this thing soon. Alright guys, so these pieces, these connecting pieces pretty much cut out, and I've been doing like quite a bit of work and not recording, so ended up going to Harbor Freight and got this welder. Been playing around with it a little bit, and it's not too bad. I mean, it is like a cheaper, pretty much like the cheapest one, but I mean, it'll do what I need it to do, which is tack things up. I mean, I just went a little crazy with these scrap pieces, and like, I mean, I beat this thing with a hammer and this thing's like pretty solid. So peep to KFC. But so we got this welder out, and this is pretty much all tacked up. I mean, this side is all tacked up. I did go a little crazy and pretended like I can weld, and I did weld the inside of these ones, but I just tacked these up here. So I'll probably end up still taking it somewhere and have them just weld everything, outsides and all of that. But I mean, this thing is in there. I mean, I can't even move this. All the measurements are still good for the motor. So pretty happy with the progress so far. Pretty much leave this one like as it is and start messing with the other one, get the other one all tacked up and bring it somewhere, have them weld it, and this motor will be in the car. Alright guys, so this is pretty much what I came up with. Got all of this like tacked up. You see I got a little bit crazy. I started drinking and thought I could weld, so I ended up welding the insides of these. Like I said, I'm probably still gonna have a shop do all of the welding, but we just got these tacked up where these go to the motor plate that sits like on the motor itself. I'm probably gonna do these insides too, just cause, and I'm gonna end up doing these insides, putting this back in the car, bolting it all together, and putting the weight of the motor on this and making sure the motor's still sitting where I need it to be and all my measurements are still correct. And once I get to that point, just end up bringing it somewhere and having them do the outside. This way I know all the welds and shit will hold. But I mean, that's what we're about to do right now. So finish doing this and I'll get back to you guys. Alright guys, so mind you, like I said, I've never welded before, so I mean, this is not pretty, nor is it like reliable. Like I said, that's why we're going to be getting the outsides all welded up, and once we do that, I mean, that'd pretty much be overkill. And but just to make sure that these mounts don't go anywhere with all this horsepower that we're going to be having. So for right now, like I said, we got these inside welded up now. Not that pretty, but I mean, it's not bad. Like I said, it's like first time welding. It's a little bit more difficult because you guys see I kind of like was playing around on this one, and when it's like an open area it's a little bit easier, but once you start like going into corners and shit, it's kind of hard to work the thing. So, but again, like I've said before, this is all a learning experience. So I mean, you know what, instead of paying somebody to do all of this, I mean, I'd rather kind of like buy the tools and try to get some knowledge myself. So for the first time, no, especially with a shitty Harbor Freight welder. But I mean, these things are in there, and I guess this thing's still hot, but we're just gonna see. We're gonna do a drop test. I haven't done this, so if this thing holds up, then hopefully we put this thing in the car and put some weight on it and be done with it. Alright guys, so I got these all bolted up in here. I don't have bolts on the bottom of this thing yet. You still see it's got some space, and this upper bolt is just kind of like snug to sit flush. But it's in there, and I took all the wood and shit out. Same thing on this side. So we're about to drop this jack down, and we're gonna see if these mounts hold. And if they hold, we're gonna take these measurements and make sure everything stayed correct, and then this motor is officially in this car. So here we go. Oh, that was a little bit quicker than I expected, but alright, so that's it guys. This motor is officially in this car. Alright, so I just took my measurement as far as like center goes, and that's good. I mean, I can't show you guys that because obviously I can't do that with one hand. And this motor does have a little bit of like, I can finesse this motor back and forth a little bit if I had to, because the cross member is already like factory slotted. So I do have like a little bit of adjustability, but as of right now, this thing is sitting dead even. And same thing with the motor on its own weight. I mean, it's sitting a hair off zero. Like I said, this thing's already sitting a degree to the left. So I mean, this is it guys. You're officially looking at this motor on its own weight in the car. So now we just got to get this transmission up in there. I think that's going to be a whole different story. I think that's definitely going to be a little bit more involved than these motor mounts, but I mean, this is it. The motor is in this car, and we got plenty of clearance down here, so we got all our clearances. I think this might be an issue here, but if the weight were to be on this car, I think this thing might not just go back, but also might pivot down, so it might just clear. But I mean, my neighbor's being loud and obnoxious right now with his lawnmower, so that's probably going to be it for today's video. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for today's video. I mean, this whole video was like recorded in bits and pieces throughout this week. Today's like Saturday, so Saturday we officially got this motor sitting in this car for the first time on its own weight, and all the measurements, everything still checks out, which is like pretty awesome. I mean, we still got to get these mounts like professionally welded up, so hopefully do that sometime this week, so this way the motor mounts are completely done with. And once we do that, then we can start focusing on getting a transmission like cross member and that mount and shit made up. I think that's going to be a whole different ball game. I think that's going to be a little bit more challenging than making these motor mounts were. But we out here taking one step at a time and moving forward with making progress. And I mean, that's all that matters really. So I appreciate you guys watching, and for now it's beer time, so cheers.